Hi folks, and welcome to this episode of Kit Room, a series in which I talk about the equipment that I use for wildlife filming, photography and sound recording. In this episode I'm going to be discussing the equipment that I would take out for a single day, where I'm hiking into the landscape with an aim to film, photograph and sound record. So everything I would get into one bag, and of course the tripod as well, because I never go out without a tripod. So let's get into it. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the bags themselves. Now, a few years ago I moved over from using the Lowepro 650 AW Pro Trekker to the Tracker NXG 90. And the reason I did that was because the Tracker is a 90 litre bag. It's much bigger than the Lowepro and also much deeper, and so I'm able to get my camera rig completely in without any problems, which I'll be showing you later. In episode 1 of this series I talk about how I build up from scratch my main camera rig. Now, as I described in that episode, the camera is built up to a certain point, and then that is kept in the bag as a sort of semi-complete unit, and it's when I get out into the field then I then complete that build to then start using it. So if you're interested in how to build up a camera rig, then please check out that episode. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Okay, so let's get to these packs. Now, one of the features of the Lowepro that I really enjoyed was it comes with a separate bag that attaches onto the top of the bag. It actually clips in place. I did have to make a couple of alterations just to change the clips around, but the reason I love this for two things is, the first is it clips around my waist and has the openings at the top there, and so what I can do is drop a sound recorder into the bag and then be able to look down at the levels, alter the levels if I wish, and then that leaves my hands free for manoeuvring through the landscape or holding a microphone or whatever. It's just makes things really easy. And then the second thing was I'm able to then put equipment into the bag so that I'm able to again go hands-free if I want to climb a tree or a cliff or get myself into some difficult position to photograph or set up a microphone or anything I want to do. This gives me a great way of being able to move through the landscape without needing to carry the main bag. I can just put in what I need for that particular moment. So this is something I still carry out into the field, certainly when I'm sound recording. And another feature I never really used was it does come with a laptop case. Now, I use the laptop case, but not to carry out in the field. I never used to, well, I never carry a laptop into the field with me. As basically I'm carrying enough. Now, this backpack is more traditional. This one was actually not designed for photographers, so I'll show you that later on, but this one kind of was. And so it's got your standard Velcro adjustable pockets where you can set the whole bag up for the how you want to set it up. It's easy to do that. And another feature that made this bag really useful was the side pocket was big enough to fit a Rycote blimp into, and that's one feature I was definitely wanting to maintain, which I have done with the Tracker, so again I'll show you that later on. So in choosing a backpack, you obviously need the space. That's the major consideration. The build quality, can't grumble with this at all. Now, I gather this is the old version. I believe they've made a Mark II, as it were, or something, but very comfortable to wear, adjustable and good shoulder straps. Actually, it's better than the Tracker, but we'll get to that. Now, okay, so I'll move on to the tracker. Now, unfortunately, the tracker NXG90 is no longer in production, I understand. But I have seen ones used going for sale. I liked it so much I bought two, and so that one's all packed up, so I'm just going to discuss this one without the weight in it. So as I mentioned, it's got the big long length pocket for the blimp, which I'll show you later. I can actually get a Rode blimp into this, but I do tend to take out the Rycote one. The Rode is much bigger than the Rycote. Got a couple of pockets on the side, the other side, and then a couple on the back, and then there are a couple of clips on top of the bag. That's where I'd put a coat or something of that nature. I don't tend to carry the tripod up here. I tend to carry that in my hands. Now, one feature I don't like about this bag was this cover is able to, you're able to sort of tuck all these in and then zip this cover over to keep all these straps contained and so on. Now, that's a useful feature, but the thing I don't like is you can't take it off. It just rolls up and sits on the top like this. And I would have loved if they'd taken the zip so you can take that off. That would have given me something that I can actually sit on, so I can leave it on the backpack and then use it as a, you know, a waterproof cover to sit on. But also if I'm wanting to just remove that weight from the bag, then I could have done that. So it's something I'm going to modify at some point. I will do that. Now, it is a comfortable bag. As I say, it's not as well padded as the Low Pro, but still I find it I'm okay to carry it, and it is adjustable and so on. And as I say, it was built for fishermen. Now, two of the other things that I really like about it is it's got two handles, one at the bottom, one at the top, so I can carry the bag like that, or it's got two on the top, so I can carry it like that. Great for manoeuvring it into the car and into the van and so on. It's you know, that makes life a lot easier. Okay, so we'll move on to the tripod. So the tripod that I'm using at the moment is the O'Connor Flowtech 100. There are two versions of this. You've got the standard Flowtech, which has got the red handles, and the O'Connor has the black, well, I say handles, the levers here. Very popular tripod at the moment, and I absolutely adore using it. It's a good weight and has many features that are really useful. One of them, simple one, is that it has magnets fitted onto the legs, and so when you're carrying it, the legs stay together. It doesn't have a mid spreader, and that allows the legs to be opened completely flat, so you can get the tripod right down to floor level. I mean, not even inches, it's literally flat, which is brilliant. And you can take the feet off. I've got the sort of like the flexible feet on the end. You can take them off to reveal the spikes. Okay, now the other wonderful simple feature is you can just lift the flaps here, all the legs extend, and then drop the flaps and then open up the tripod, and there you go. You can adjust it all from the top like that very easily. Brilliant. Now the legs actually will take about 30 kilograms. The tripod head that I'm using is the Satchler Active 10, and this will take 12 kilograms. Now in episode 1 I weighed the build of my rig, and it came to 8.8 kilograms, and so this is well capable of handling that rig. And I believe you can put rigs on this from 0 up to 12. Some tripod heads have a sort of a limit from A to B. You've got to be within those limits, as it were, but I believe this one goes from 0 up to 8, and you can still balance it and so on. It's a side loading plate, so you just simply drop the plate in and then lower it, and it clips into place, and then just tighten it up. And it has it's a fluid head, so you're able to set up the springs and dampenings, and to be able to get the camera to a point where you simply move it and it stays in place wherever you move the camera, as long as it's perfectly balanced. And yeah, you're good to go. It's wonderful, and it has made a big difference to my filmmaking. And the reason for that is it is a high quality fluid head. And in previous tripod heads that I used, if I was to take hold of the handle, then I would be introducing shake into my footage. But with this tripod head, I don't seem to be doing that. It's wonderful. I can actually now take hold, follow the action, and there may be a little bit of shake, but that's I can take that out in post. It's nowhere near what I used to get with other tripod heads. So this has made a very significant difference to my filming. Okay, so we'll get this out the way, and then I'll move on to the main bag. Okay, so in this bag is pretty much the most that I will take out for one, as I say, for one sort of trip out somewhere, or say I'm going to an island, I can only take one bag, then this is what I'm taking. Everything that's in it is what I would be taking with me. And it's about as heavy as I can manage at the moment. As I'm getting older, that's changing all the time, and so is the difference that I can carry this into the landscape. But I'll just show you how heavy the actual the kit is. Now, the bag itself weighs 4.5 kilograms, which surprisingly is the same weight as the Low Pro, but this is significantly bigger, so it's a definite benefit there. Right, oops, let's switch it on. So that's coming in at 22.5 kilograms, or 49.5 pounds. So, as I say, that's about as much as I can manage nowadays. Right, so what I'll do is I'll start emptying and showing you how I've laid it out, what's in there. Now, as I've said, if you're interested in how I build up the rig, then please check out episode 1. I'm not going to rebuild the rig here. I'm just going to sort of empty everything out and just show you what I'm carrying out and why. So in the top pocket on this here on the back, we've got a pair of binoculars. So these are 8x42s. Just a basic standard pair of binoculars, and just allows me to see things when I'm, particularly I'll take these out when I'm going to somewhere like in a forest or something, because these will focus closer and are good for sort of middle distance, where I've got another pair if I'm going out and I'm looking for things that are far off. I've got a more powerful pair, but these are what's in at the moment. Then in the bottom pouch we have 2 rain covers. Now, whilst the bag is sort of water repellent, water resistant, so is the Low Pro, neither one you could ever class as waterproof. I don't think there's any real bag you could class as waterproof that has zips and sewing and hasn't been really well proofed. I mean, even them, if you drop them into the water, they'd leak. I'm pretty sure. But these, so the way to get round that is to have a cover that goes over the entirety of the bag. And And so that's what I have here. It's a very large backpack cover, and I also have it in camouflage pattern. And the reason for that is similar with the Low Pro, is with that being black, that was very easy to see in the landscape. The green is better, but it's still a big sort of lump of green, as it were. And the reason this is important is quite often I will take equipment out, leave the backpack somewhere, and then go with that equipment away from it. So I'm not trying to move through the landscape with a heavy pack on my back, stalking an animal or something of like that. And obviously I'm wanting to be able to hide the bag in case, you know, somebody comes along and spots it and walks off with my gear. So that's why it's camouflaged. Now the second cover is for the equipment itself. So this is again just a fully waterproof cover, backpack cover. This one was for a 45-litre bag, and this is what I use to cover over the camera gear when it's on the tripod. And that's very important with the I'm using the Red Komodo X for my video work. That's not weatherproofed at all, and so having a waterproof cover is essential, particularly here in Scotland where we get a fair share of rain. Okay, so I'll open it up. Okay, so as I say, it's not laid out as a standard photography bag as it were, but it does have these solid, you can remove them, these spacers, but it gives me these 4 large compartments. And so in the middle I've got the camera, the main camera rig. So this is the Sigma 60 to 600mm lens, the Red Komodo X camera, Mutiny IO unit on the back. I have a mount for a side microphone, and then on the other side I've got the rod for the follow focus, and it's all fixed together on this bracket system or mount system that I manufactured myself. Quite often you'll see a rail system such as this. We've got the 2 rails, but I decided not to use that system and decided to make one myself. And so that's the standard sort of rig. As I say, I'll show you how I put all this together in episode 1. Okay, so then we have in this small pouch we have the separate sound recorder. Now what I use is the Zoom F3. It's a 32-bit float recorder, and the reason I'm using that is a couple of reasons. Is one, it means I can pretty much forget about sound as long as the microphone itself isn't being clipped by too louder a sound. Then the recorder will pretty much record the quietest sound that the microphone's capable of picking up to the loudest, and I'm not having to sort of monitor the levels or anything like that. I'm just sort of switch it on and forget to a degree. So I keep everything in a separate pouch. So I have the recorder. It does come with 2 AA batteries in the compartment as well. You can change them out, and but the way I power it when it's on the camera is I use the USB-C to USB-C cable, taking it out from the camera to power this unit. It's got 2 XLR ports, a line out and a headphone jack on the bottom. It has its own memory card, and that allows me to expand on what I can do out in the field. So I can mount this onto the camera with a microphone that I'm going to show you just shortly. That sort of keeps me as a contained unit. I've got the microphones at the side of the lens, and I can then pick it up and go and so on, also all contained. But if I want to, I can then take the recorder off, put it into a separate bag that I'm going to discuss later, and set up a drop rig. Or I can carry it around recording sound that way. It allows me flexibility. Now I do have the the MixPre 6 recorder, but I tend to take this one out in this kit. Okay, so the cables that I keep in that pouch with it is a USB-C to USB-C cable for powering from the camera to the unit, a USB-C to USB-A that allows me to then attach that to one of the batteries that I have for if I want to set up a drop rig. Then I take out the line out into the camera. That's how I'm recording the sound in the camera. The other flexible thing that the separate recorder allows me to do is I can record the sound in the camera, but I can also record the sound in the recorder itself, giving me two files, one being 32-bit float and the other not. So again, it just gives me sort of a bit of flexibility there. So I've got the 3.5 millimeter TRS male jack to male jack. That goes into the female TRS 3.5 to LEMO 5 pin, which goes into the back of the camera. Okay, so that's the recorder. So the next pack out. Now I do tend to keep everything or most things in their own bags, just for ease of keeping things all clean, tidy and together. Okay, so the follow focus that I've gone for is the small rig F60. Now for many years I was wanting a follow focus unit, but couldn't really justify spending the money on it, thinking, well, do I really need it? When I got it, I wished I'd bought one years ago. It made a dramatic change to my filming. I was able to simply sit behind the camera and really easily and delicately adjust the focus. Also, it made it so much easier than having to grab the lens and twist like this. Much improvement. So certainly recommend a follow focus unit. For the sound recording, I'm using the Beyerdynamics DT770 Pro 32 ohm headphones. Now, one of the downsides to the Zoom F3 is that amplifier is only powerful enough to power low impedance headphones. It won't sort of do 250 ohm, but these it will. So that's why I have used this pair, and they're studio quality headphones, and yep, so makes monitoring quite easy and accurate. So I can connect those headphones either into the back of the camera, which is what I tend to do, so that way I know that the camera itself is actually getting sound to it, but I can plug it into the recorder, as I say. So the next bag to come out is the monitor. Now I keep it in a fleece bag just to keep it again clean, dry, and it also gives me a surface that I can wipe the finger marks off, because it is a touch screen, and it's quite expensive, this monitor. It's the small HD monitor that was built in collaboration with Red, hence the red on the back, and is a very good monitor. It's got the 200 millimeter RMI cable. Now these look exactly like USB-C cables but aren't, and so I've put green tape on just to distinguish between the two, because I don't know what connecting a USB-C from here to the camera would actually do to the equipment, whether it would cause damage. It certainly wouldn't transfer the data, but that's why I've got the tape on it. Okay, so we'll put that to one side. Okay, so we're into the other compartment. Now, the lens that I have on the main rig, the long lens, is the Sigma 60 to 600 millimeter. That tends to be what I'm using the bulk of the time. It sort of 90% of the time, that's what I'm using on the camera. But for the instances where I'm either wanting to do wide angle or different types of shots, then I've got the 24 to 105 Sigma lens. Now this is an old version. I've had this for many, many years. I am thinking at some point that I will upgrade to the 24 to 105 millimeter Sigma Art lens, because they're very sharp and higher quality than what this is. But this gives me the range between 24 up to 600 millimeter, just with two lenses. Okay, and the next lens that I have is the 24 fixed focal Sigma Art lens with its attached hood. Beautiful lens, very sharp, and as I say, I want to move more into this line for the zoom. And with the fact that all of the lenses are EF mount, means that just by taking out a EF mount camera gives me both video and stills. And so I've got the Canon 5D Mark III. I've had this for well over 15 years, I think I'm getting on to now, something in that region. And a very good camera still, but I don't tend to do stills as much as I used to in the past, and so this doesn't get out much, but if I'm wanting stills, that's what I'm taking out. Okay, now with the smaller lenses, the filters that I'm using are the Case K9 filter system, and this has a filter mount, slide mount, so you just simply slide the filters in place. I've got the 77 millimeter ring in there at the moment, because both of those lenses are 77 millimeters, and so it just screws onto the front, and then we can drop the filter directly into. So the filters that I have in this pack at the moment, I've got sort of 2 solid neutral densities, and then 3 gradual neutral or graduated neutral density filters, and then I've also got a circular polarizer. And the way you'd use that, you drop that into the holder, and then you can twist the holder, or actually in fact with this one you can either twist it, or you can just rotate the wheel at the side, and that'll spin the polarizing filter inside the holder. Okay, so the next thing is I've got the Lee 105 millimeter circular polarizer, and this is for the 60 to 600 millimeter lens. And the reason I keep it in a separate pouch is because if I'm going into the landscape and I'm only taking the long lens, then I can take this out in its separate pouch. I don't have to take everything else, just to keep the weight down. Okay, so the last thing in this top compartment is my 1.4 lens extender, focal length extender. So it's the Canon version Mark III, and so this, by fitting this in between the camera and the 60 to 600 mil, gives me 840 mil. And so just by carrying out one bag, I'm covering myself between 24 up to 840. Okay, so moving to the bottom here. So this is something that I manufactured myself, and it's a combination monitor hood that fits onto the monitor, simply screws in at the top there, and then once that's fitted to the hood, then I can throw over the camouflage fabric, which then goes over, and the lens goes through the hole there, giving me a camouflage screen to sort of sit behind. I'll be using this in a few weeks when I start to go out to film the red deer rut, and I'll be all camoed up. The tripod legs, I'll just mention, I did actually coat the legs with this tape, this camouflage tape. Two reasons, mainly again sort of to give it that bit of camouflaging colour, but also to protect the legs from scratches. So in certain circumstances I'm going out and wanting to be as inconspicuous as I can, and I have noticed in the past that when I've got the camera on top of the tripod and I'm not covering camouflaging, then the deer do get interested in that. They do see that as an object that they're wanting to explore, and so they have been coming up to me and staring at me, even though I'm covered in camo, and but they're seeing that, and so that's why I developed that. Okay, so we're moving on to the audio side at the moment. So in the side pocket, that's where I store the Rycote blimp. Inside at the moment is an NTG2 microphone, and I've got the dead cat for that as well. And what I can do with this is, using the 6-meter cable, I can attach that to the recorder whilst it's on the camera rig itself, and then get the microphone away from both me and the camera noise, any noises that the lens is making, because the microphone fixed to the side of the camera will pick up the autofocus motors and the image stabilization motors. It's that sensitive, it does pick them up. And so being able to get the microphone away from, if I'm heavy breathing or something like that, or sat in a hide, then that's what I'm doing. Okay. And same again, if I'm wanting to boom something, then that's the way I'd go with that. So with the two microphones that I've forgot to mention, so the microphone that I'm using at the side of the camera, and often I'll take this microphone out and put that into the blimp, is the Sennheiser ME66, which is a very sensitive and very lightweight microphone. No longer in being manufactured. The replacement is the Sennheiser MKE600. At some point I might invest in one of those, but I'm still happy with this. It's still in very good nick. And I've got the Saramonics windshield, which simply just slides onto the microphone like that, and then the microphone goes onto the mount at the side of the camera rig. And then to get that into the recorder, I've got a 400mm XLR, and that just goes straight into the recorder there. Okay, so with those two different microphones, I'm covering shotgun sort of a way of recording sound. But if I'm wanting to record the ambience, then I'm going to go to omnidirectional microphones, and so those I keep in these balls. So these are the Rycote baby ball. So I've got the dead cat on there. So inside the ball, just open it up, I've got the microphone, which is a Clippy 172. EM272s. These ones had the 172, and I think the 272s are the modern replacement. So yeah, these are just small omnidirectional microphones, very sensitive, very good quality, very cheap actually. The compared to a lot of other small type microphones, these are extremely affordable, but very, very useful. And to be able to get the stereo, I do have 2 of them. And so what I can do with those 2 is I can carry on recording into the camera. I'll show you how I do that later. Take the recorder off, put it into a bag I'm going to show you later, and then set the 2 microphones up to record ambience away from me. That way I'm not sort of putting noises, I'm not generating noises that the microphones are going to pick up. Now the batteries that I'm using are the Anton Bauer Titan SL150. So I have 2 of these. Really like them. There's only one issue that I've had with them in the time that I've been using them, which is a few years now, and that is it takes a while, but they go into self-protection mode, and so they switch off, and so when that happens, the screen goes blank. You just have to put the battery onto the battery charger, and that wakens it back up. I've been told that the camera should do it, that if you put it onto the camera, switch the camera on, it should do that. I've not tried it with the Red Komodo yet, actually, but in my previous camera that didn't work. So now I'm always, before I'm going to head out on any expedition with these, I always drop it on, give it that last bit of charge, which wakens it up, and then it's good to go for days after that. So no other issue. One issue I did have actually was I did connect the microphone, the sound recorder into the USB, and I got a little bit of feedback coming through, and so that's why I take the USB from the back of the camera into the Zoom F3. Okay, so the other one that I've got is the Anton Bauer Titan Micro. Now again, if you go to view the other film, I'm sorry it is a bit long, but at the back I show you that you can hot swap these batteries onto the Red Komodo X, and I'll be showing you how I do that shortly. But also the Red Komodo X doesn't take the standard size large batteries, it'll only take these micro size in its mount that's part of the camera. So that's the reason I have, or one of the reasons I have, the Mutiny IO unit on the back. Okay, so we're now moving into the side pockets on this side. So I've got a waterproof bag that I'm able to then use as a drop rig. So I can just empty the contents out, and then I can put the one of the Anton Bauer batteries in there, connect that to the sound recorder, and then simply put the bag in situ and leave it and walk away, knowing that the recorder isn't going to get rained on. Okay, so we'll start to empty it. So I've got a few leads. So the one first comes to hand is the RMI cable that's 1 meter long, that allows me to take the monitor off the camera, mount it somewhere else, up to 1 meter away from the camera, what I'm doing. Again, as I say, it looks exactly like a HDMI, USB-C cable, and so I've put the green tape on just to make sure I don't make a mistake. And then the next one to come to hand is just a longer TRS male 3.5mm jack to male jack for the audio. And then this is the power cable that I would use to hot swap the battery. So I can either connect this in, connect the battery on and leave it, or the other way is you simply plug this into the Mutiny IO or the back of the Red Komodo X. So I have 2 options there. You put the D-tap that's on the other end into your second battery. That's now giving the camera power. You can take the battery off the camera, slot that onto the back of the Mutiny, take out the D-tap, and they've hot swapped 2 batteries while still filming. It doesn't disturb the camera at all. So that's a way of doing that, and so that's why that camera cable is in the bag. Okay, so continuing on, we've got the the Red XLR adapter. So this is how I would get XLR audio, so microphones that are XLR, into the camera. So this mounts on the side of the camera and connects with its own sort of LEMO 5-pin to 5-pin. It just goes in the top and then into the back of the camera. And so that's how I would be able to take the Zoom F3 off, connect that. That gives me audio on the camera, and then I can set up the recorder elsewhere or do whatever I want to with it. Then I've got the red sidewinder or something, I think. I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's just a multi-tool for pretty much everything that's on the rig. So I can disable or I can break the rig down if I wanted to with that tool. And then I've got the lens caps for if I want to take the split the rig at all, take the long lens off and put there. I've got the lens caps for that. And then I've just got a couple of extra bolts and things, 1/4-20 screw. That's what for the XLR unit. And then last but not least, I've got in this pocket again another waterproof bag with a pack of lens cloths, notebook and pen, and then 2 memory card cases with 1 memory card in. The other memory card I always keep in the camera, and so it's ready to go, but I always take both cases out just in case I need them. And so that is pretty much the kit that I would be taking out to do pretty much everything. So that's stills, filming and sound recording. There are other bits of equipment that I would take out in more specialist sort of trips out, but I'm going to cover those things in future videos. I'm also going to discuss all the audio in more detail. So there we have it. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to subscribe and like the film if you had. And I do encourage comments or questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have about the equipment or about my filming. And thank you for watching, and bye for now.